We're starting a new chapter now, and we're going to take a look at all of the commands that you can use in AutoCAD to modify objects. So we'll be spending a lot of time in the Modify panel on the Home tab on the ribbon. In order to do this, we've got a new drawing for you. It will look familiar, but it's called modifyingobjects.dwg, and you can download it from the library to follow along with the videos in the chapter. And you can see the drawing on the screen. You should see a floor plan with the grids and the dimensions like so. It should look remarkably familiar to you anyway, due to previous chapters in this course. And you should be in the Model tab in the bottom left corner. Now we're going to look at selecting objects first, because in order to modify objects, you need to be able to select them. Now, you'll remember in previous chapters and videos, we set up some points and point styles in this area of the drawing here. We're going to zoom in on that area like so. So when I zoom in, you'll see those points get bigger and bigger. There's the points there, these objects here. I'll just hit escape to deselect that one. Now, you'll remember we set up a point style that was 5% of the relative screen size. Now, they look big there, and of course they would. Now, what we need to do is we need to refresh the view. Now, to do that, you can use the Regen command, which is R-E-G-E-N. Just type it like so, and you'll see it come up on the suggestion menu. When I press enter, keep an eye on those points, and you'll see they go back down to 5% of the screen size. So they're always 5%. You can also save the drawing. That will automatically regenerate the drawing as well. Now, we're going to take a look at how we select objects in our AutoCAD drawings. Now, the quickest and easiest way is to move the crosshair over an object, that line there. You can see it highlight. If I get the pick box over the line and left click, that will select that line. And you can see it's selected. It goes a pale blue color, and the grips that are relative to that line's geometry are there as well. So a line has 3 grips. It has one at each end and one on its midpoint, as you can see. Now, to deselect anything you've selected, you just hit escape. I always hit it twice. And the reason being, the first one will deselect the object. The second escape will actually cancel any command you may have open. So I always hit escape twice to deselect, just to be on the safe side in case I'm in the middle of a command and I might do something random elsewhere by mistake. So let's have a look at selecting. I'm going to show you some selection methods. Now, one of these is known as the window selection. So I'm going to put my crosshair here. I'm not actually on or over any object, but I'm going to click. And as I drag now, can you see any object inside the boundaries of that blue window highlights? So you can see there, one of my points is highlighted. As I go along, there's the second one and the third one. And that line you can see there has also been highlighted for selection. And as I come this way, you can see some other lines as well have highlighted for selection. So when I left click over here, you'll see the objects that were within that particular window have been selected. Now, if I only wanted the points selected, how do I remove those line objects? Well, first of all, I might zoom in a little bit. So let's position myself over here and zoom in. Now, when you hover over the grips, be aware that you do get the option to work with the grips. You need to move away slightly and then roll up on the mouse like that. Now, I'm going to just do a little bit of zooming and panning like that. And all I'm going to do now is hold down the Shift key and put the pick box over the line and click. And can you see they get deselected as I click on them? So holding down the Shift key and selecting an object removes it from the selection set. So I'm going to come down here. There's that line there. So I hold down Shift. See the little minus symbol on the crosshair? When I click, that removes it from the selection set. And when I zoom out slightly, using the wheel on the mouse, you can see that I've only got those 4 points selected. I'll just hit escape a couple of times now to deselect them and cancel any command. Now, what happens if I do a selection the other way? That's known as a crossing window selection. So if I get in a space up here where I'm not highlighting any objects, click once and drag the other way, can you see how many objects are getting selected? Loads of them. That's because a crossing selection going from right to left will actually select not only the objects within the window boundary, but any objects that are crossed by the window boundary. So if I now left click again, lots of objects selected. Probably not worth my while holding down shift and clicking on each one to deselect it. So what I'll do there, just hit escape a couple of times to deselect everything. So they're the two main methods that you would probably use to select objects in AutoCAD. The other one being obviously individual objects, like I showed you at the beginning, where you just click on each object. Now, one of the benefits you have with AutoCAD is as you keep clicking, it just keeps adding to the selection set. Now, if that doesn't happen in your AutoCAD, and when you click on one object and then go and click on another object, only the object that you just clicked on is selected, there's a setting in AutoCAD that you need to be aware of. Let me just hit escape a couple of times, make sure we've got no commands or objects selected. If you right click and go down to options like we did in one of the previous chapters, and you need to go to the selection tab up here in the dialog box, and you've got some settings here. So you've got what is called noun verb selection, which we'll cover later, but it's this one here, use shift to add to selection. If I tick that now and OK it, watch what happens. I'll select that line there, select that point there. Can you see it jumps from object to object? And I've now got to hold down shift like I would if I was deselecting. Can you see? So in order to add, I've got to hold down shift all the time to add those objects to my selection set. Now, for me, I find that a bit tiresome. So I'm going to hit escape a couple of times, right click, and go back to options again and just switch that off in the selection tab in the options dialog box. So that's use shift to add to selection. So I'll apply that now and just OK it. And now when I click on each object, can you see it's just adding them cumulatively to the selection set like so. So that's how I like to work. It's entirely up to you. So now you know some methods to select objects when you're working and modifying objects in your AutoCAD drawings. You have the individual selection, like so. I'll just hit escape a couple of times. You have the window selection, like so. And you have the crossing selection, where everything crossed and what's in the window gets selected like that. Hit escape a couple of times there just to obviously deselect and cancel any commands. And what we'll do now as we work through this chapter is we'll go through all the different modify commands available to you in AutoCAD, but also we'll show you some neat little tricks there about how to select those objects for each of the specific commands as well.